Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Erik Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hope you're doing great. I'm doing great. I'm living here in Puerto Rico now, as per my last podcast. If you haven't heard that, listen to it. It's a good one. I was just kind of stoned and rambling, and it was fun. And I just got a lot of things off my chest about saying goodbye to New York. And now I'm in Puerto Rico. Been here for about 5 days. And man, La Vida is totally loco at this moment. It's just like the whole world has been flipped upside down. What used to be right is now left. Everything I thought was true in the world is now completely upside down, ass backwards, and I don't know very much Spanish, so it's very interesting living in a place where you can't really communicate the shit you need, which is, look, I get it now. I get it, the difficulty of what it must be like to be, an immigrant in the U.S. and just walking around, not really speaking much English. Well, in fact, I think in most countries there is some kind of like English speaking program. So I think people come to the U.S. with more knowledge of English than I'm coming with Spanish. But still, man, it's hard, dude. Just like little things of like, needing directions somewhere or needing to ask somebody a question about, like, today we went to the DMV to get driver's licenses, and it's like I can't read any of the forms. The people are trying to help me with the forms, and they're like trying to, ask me like, what is this? What is that? They can't speak to me. What color are your eyes? Azul. It's all very difficult, but I love it, man. I love it. I'm living, 5 minutes from the beach. I'm waking up in the morning every day, and I'm going to the beach, and I'm doing this beach wad, doing these crazy, workouts with no weights, doing burpees and air squats and push-ups and running on the beach and then jumping in the water and just nothing but sunshine. And then I find out I'm living, the beach I'm going to is the 4th most dangerous beach in the whole world, which is, I'm just a dangerous dude, so you can't stop the a-hole from getting that good salt water electricity, grounding, getting some good grounding. So it's very interesting, this little move I'm on right now, but it's given me a lot of time to think. And I will say it's interesting being in a position to be able to do this, because I'm very grateful. I'm very fortunate to be in a position where, like I had to leave the U.S. for tax purposes, and the place I had to go was Puerto Rico. Like I don't know if I would have done this if it was Detroit, or if it was Columbus, Ohio, or even if it was back in Arizona. I don't think I could do that. But Puerto Rico's a bit of a wild card, because this place is pretty raw. And I'm sure I'll get into some of this stuff like as I'm living here. But it's pretty cool to live on an island in the middle of the Caribbean, to never have to wear another, scarf, at least for the foreseeable future, or, walk around layered, or like sit outside and wait for a train that's late in the fucking, 20 degrees, dealing with snow, having to wear snow boots, and just going outside in a tank top and shorts and flip-flops, man. Like that's my style. Shorts, tank top, flip-flop. That's how the holistic a-hole rolls. So I know I'm very fortunate, and I'm thinking about this thing of just being a gringo here in PR, and yeah, I've got some white privilege going on, and I'm thinking about it in terms of like, do I have white privilege? I acknowledge there's some white privilege for sure. But how privileged am I, really? Like I'm thinking about this in terms of having to go out and apply for apartments. Now, after coming from a place like New York City, where all the apartments are just dog shit. I mean, there's some nice ones. If you're gonna spend, a couple G's a month, you can get something nice. Or maybe like you can have roommates if you're willing to spend like over $1,000 a month. You can have something halfway decent, but it's still just garbage. And there's always that thing of living in New York where you're like, yeah, I could, I'm paying, so much money for a tiny 1-bedroom apartment here. I could go to like Boise, Idaho, or I can go back to Phoenix and have, a nice like 3-bedroom apartment. But then when you come to a place like PR, it's not like a thing where I could have a giant place for what I was paying in New York, but I can definitely have a nice upgrade. In fact, I'm going to sign a lease here later this week for a really nice place on the beach, updated, fully furnished, modern appliances, 2 bedrooms, a giant living space, a balcony overlooking the ocean, a dishwasher. I mean, I'm going to have a bidet, like a giant bathroom with a toilet and a bidet. Do you understand the amount of a-hole going on in this place for not much more than I spent in New York City? And I was thinking about this, man, and again, very grateful. And some people might be like, well, yeah, it's your white privilege. It's your white, you're a straight white male. You're a straight white male. So of course you have every advantage in life. And I don't take for granted the fact I know I have some advantages. I'm not going to get pulled over for smoking a joint on Ludlow Street in New York City, although that exact thing did happen to me, but I didn't go to jail. But I do have some privileges. But let me tell you something, man. I know I'm a little scattered about. I'm trying to like formulate this thought that I have into words. What I'm trying to say is I've paid my dues. I holistic a-hole, have paid my dues. For a long time, man, I lived like fucking dirt. And I was totally fine being a poor, starving artist, sleeping on an air mattress in a shithole apartment in Brooklyn. I was totally fine with that. I went to Boston, didn't know anybody. That place sucks. Lived in New York, loved it, but was always like, I'll never get to Fifth Avenue. I'll never get to, have a nice steak at what is that fucking place? Not Morton's. I can't think of it. One of the nice steakhouses, Like I'm trash. I'm white trash. And now that I'm in PR, I'm like, no, man, fuck that. It's time to raise the game. I can afford this shit. I've lived like dirt long enough. Now it's time to play. Now it's time to be a baller. And I'm not saying this in terms of like I'm trying to throw my weight around. I'm saying this like I look at the difference between me and somebody who doesn't have the opportunity to do this. Somebody who, when they talk about wealth inequality and they go, yeah, the 1% has all the wealth. Well, the 1% has a lot of the wealth because the 1% has figured out how to make wealth. It's just sad that anytime somebody brings up the 1% or wealthy people, it's always in terms of like somebody who, inherited money, or they come from a very, upper class family and had the advantages of going to a good private school and getting to a nice Ivy League college, or maybe just like sub Ivy League, like a mid-Atlantic school or something, and then gets a nice job on Wall Street or Madison Avenue or whatever. Yeah, that's like very cliche. And that's like 0.1 of the 0.1% of the 0.1%. Okay? That's a very small slice of the pie. For the most part, most people who are doing well in life, who can afford stuff, have just spent their money wisely. My first job out of college was working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car for $10 an hour, dude. Renting cars at the airport for 60 hours a week. Sweating my balls off in a shirt and tie while people who went to play golf and go to business meetings are fucking shitting on me and running off to the airport, and I have to fucking clean their fucking car in 115 degrees. I fucking did open mics in New York City in bars where, people weren't even listening to me. I fucking had to shut up heckling tourists in Times Square. I've paid my goddamn dues in life. And the difference between me and another person is I embraced those dues. I embraced every single one of those dues with a smile on my face. Granted, there were a lot of times I didn't love it, but all my dues, I didn't avoid it. I didn't go around. I went right into that motherfucker. And I didn't complain about it. And I just did it. And you know the biggest thing I didn't do? I didn't get myself in crippling debt. I knew what I could afford to go to college. I went to Arizona State, the water park of universities. And, I went at a time when it was very cheap to go there. Now I think it's a little more expensive, but it was in state. There's no academic prestige. At least there wasn't when I was there, to Arizona State. But I see people who are complaining about their, insane student loans. Guess who got yourself those student loans? You. You chose to go to a school that you couldn't afford. And then you chose to get credit cards while you were in that school that you couldn't afford. I just have a hard time empathizing with people who are quote unquote suffering because of student loan debt. Because you had the privilege to get applied for a loan that you somehow in your delusional mind thought you could pay off. I got suckered into a subprime mortgage, and I had to make a very difficult decision in 2009. Sit there underwater and pay a mortgage, or leave that motherfucker. And I left that motherfucker. In fact, I stopped paying my rent, my mortgage for like 6 months before it finally got short-sailed. And people would tell me, like, you're going to destroy your credit. And then my credit today is pretty much near perfect. My point is thank God it is. Thank God I didn't fuck up. Thank God I didn't live way beyond my means, so that now when I go apply for really nice apartments, I can show the people asking me a flawless record. Like, I'm thinking about these people who have credit card debt. What are you doing with credit card debt? Now, I understand there's people who have situations where, they have medical bills. Bad luck strikes, right? I empathize with that. But that's not the majority of credit card debt in this country. I'm thinking about walking through Midtown Manhattan near one of the many Foot Lockers or shoe stores and seeing lines around the blocks when the new Air Jordans or Chris Paul's or, Kevin Durant's or Steph Curry's or whatever the shoe was that was getting released. Lines around the block. And most people in those lines I would look at and just know there was no way they could afford those shoes. Those are $200 shoes. You work at the goddamn movie theaters, bro. What are you doing getting shoes like that? I never stood in one of those lines. I never took a trip I couldn't afford. I never bought a car I couldn't afford. I never got a fucking TV I couldn't afford. I never got a fucking iPhone I couldn't afford. I never dated anybody who fucking broke my back to buy them jewelry and shit that I couldn't afford. And subsequently, here I'm in my mid-30s, about to put a lease on a fucking insanely dope apartment on the fucking beach in Puerto Rico where I'm paying no taxes. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying that if I say this and you listen to me and you go, well, yeah, that's white privilege. No, it's just being fucking smart. It's just knowing where I am in life and being realistic. If I had the money to go buy Air Jordans, I would go buy Air Jordans. But they're fucking shoes, dude. They're shoes. I have shoes. I've been wearing the same. Do you know how hard it is for me to buy shoes? I will wear shoes for years and years. I will put miles and miles on shoes. I don't give a fuck about shoes. Who is the asshole who made this thing about, you can judge a man by his shoes? Really? You look at my shoes, you would think, I'm just a homeless fucking white trash clown. Fine, you could think that about me. Dog, I'm a baller. I don't got great shoes. I got the same pair of flip-flops I've been wearing for 6 years. I don't buy new clothes. I don't care about new clothes. I never, when I lived in New York, took trips out to the Hamptons. Yeah, I mean, I definitely sacrificed time in life where it would have been great to pick up and go on a vacation somewhere. But also being a person who's lived in several different big vacation spots and working in the tourism industry in one of the biggest vacation spots in the world, that most people when you travel, you don't travel good. You travel like fucking disgusting slobs. You go to New York City, you go to the fucking Olive Garden. There's an Olive Garden in Times Square. People go to that shit. People go to the fucking the Hard Rock Cafe. People go to fucking Disney World. You know how disgusting of a fucking slob you are to go to Disney World? You got your kid, I get it, fine. Right? But look at the people walking around. Just disgusting American fucking eating Applebee's and Chili's and the Hard Rock Cafe, just racking up credit card debt. Miserable. You get excited for your vacation. People are going to come here to PR, go to vacation. So excited. And then what do they do on vacation? They look at their phone. Look at their phone. Look at the phone they can't even afford. Look at the phone, look at Instagram, look at pictures of shit people wearing stuff and doing things you can't afford. But then you put it in your brain that you're going to go do that stuff. And now where are you? You're fucked. Because now you got more credit card debt. And then everybody, listens to some cunt like Elizabeth Warren say, we're going to eliminate all your student loan debt. We're going to restructure people's credit card debt. Oh, really? On whose dime? Not this gringo. Not while I'm living on a beach in PR. Because guess who's not getting that tax dollar? The fat, disgusting Americans who can't not look at Instagram and fucking buy shit they can't afford. White privilege. That's it. That wasn't even the point of the podcast. I just kind of was like, I've just been kind of like thinking about this stuff. I've just been thinking about this stuff like, when you have to, it's a weird thing, man, because I lived in the same place for 7 years. And, I got really comfortable in one place and, never had, just completely lost track of what it was like to, to have to go apply for an apartment again or have to, go get like a new driver's license in a new place, let alone the fact of like having to not understanding the language of where you are or any directions of anything you're doing, but just like these little things. And when you're looking for an apartment, man, and you find something you see and you love and you're like, that's what I want, dude. Oh my God. When you walk into it, after you've looked at so many apartments, after you're just exhausted and everything is like, you just find something and you're like, this thing, it's like, what is that? Is that the wall? Why is the wall, why do they paint it, the wall? Why are the baseboards pink and the walls yellow? I want a fully furnished apartment and they're giving me, like a window that's, or like a bathroom mirror that is, the frame is like rainbow balloons or some shit, and you just go look at place after place. You're like, oh God. And then you find a place. You're like, this is the place. You walk in it. It feels like me. I'm just melting in it. I'm becoming one with the space. And then you got to apply for it. And you don't have an immaculate immaculate credit score. You have a credit score where you're like, I don't know about this. You have a criminal record. You got debt. You got all this stuff that just is like, well, you just didn't think about your life that you would be living 10 years in the future and you just didn't prepare for it at all. Instead, you were like, I'm going to wait in line for 2 hours for new Jordans so I can go show my boys. I got the new Jordans. So for maybe 5 minutes, somebody will be jealous of you. And then when you don't have money to do the shit you want, you say, well, it's not fair because the 1% has all the money. No, you dumb fuck. You just needed to fucking grind and stop being a little bitch. Ugh, God, dude. It's just, I don't know why, like, my brain goes to this place of, like, of getting mad about shit I can't control when I'm doing stuff that makes me very happy. But I just think, like, God, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that when I was young, it was my dad, Daddy A-hole, instilled in me this thing because he was a credit manager. He's like, you can't live above your means. Only buy shit you can afford. Only buy shit you can afford. You don't want debt. You do not want credit card debt. Every month, I pay my credit card bills. Twice every 2 weeks, I pay my credit card bill. I don't get bills. When I get a credit card bill, zero balance. I don't put stuff on a credit card that I cannot immediately pay. Yes, I mean, I've had instances where I had to go to again, I don't go to the doctor, right? Another advantage to to being a holistic a-hole, to taking care of yourself. Oh my God, you have such a boring diet. All you eat is vegetables and good quality meats and yeah. And you know what? My body works like a fucking gem. I wake up at 6 a.m. I run my ass to the beach. I do this, 45-minute beach wad. I'll go to a CrossFit class and, crank out hang cleans and snatches and all this shit. I wreck my body, man. And I fuel it with good nutrition. So I never have to go to a doctor. So I never have to have a medical bill I can't afford. And then I never have to fucking, feel so insecure that I need the approval of people. So what do? I go buy a car, right? I have to buy a car here in Puerto Rico. I haven't had a car for 7 years. And I'm thinking about a car to go buy. And it's like, I'm like thinking about, what car do I want? I'm like, I don't want to spend any more than like $5,000 on a car. I just need a thing that will get me from point A to point B without breaking down. That won't cost me an arm and a leg to fill up the tank, But I know plenty of people that it's like they won't drive anything that's not brand new, which doesn't make sense in the first place because as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth 50% less than it was before you put the key in the ignition. God, man. I just think about just this election coming up and these politicians talking about the wealth gap. Dude, there's just people in the country who are smarter with money. And it sucks that they don't teach people in school how to be smart with money. That should be the first thing they teach you as like an 18-year-old. When you walk into school for your senior year of high school, they should be like, here is how you don't go into debt. Here is how you don't, fall on your ass and spend money on some dumb bitch who's going to fucking drop you like a goddamn log. She's going to use you for all the money you got. She's going to make you buy her way too expensive dinners. Now she's on Tinder. She's got 3 other boyfriends, bro. You're just the dude who buys her dinner once a week. You're not even fucking her. Here's how you don't get caught up in those traps. Here's how you don't give a shit about waiting in line for Jordans. How do they not teach this in school? They don't teach it in school. They teach people how to be robots in school. Man, and I just feel for people who it's like you can't walk into that apartment you want. You're just stuck. You've got to work that dead-end job. Sorry, hey, socialism, universal income, not going to get you out of that shithole job. Not going to get you out of the shithole job. You got some nice Jordans, bro, but universal basic income, not gonna lift you up where you belong. It's not going to. It's fixing your brain, fixing your mind. This isn't even what I want to talk about, but you see what I'm saying. Very grateful, happy gratitude. Okay, here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Something that caught my eye as I'm just kind of meandering the world of health news. And well, let me take a step back. So it's an interesting thing being I don't know what I'm a nutritional therapist. I'm also a nutritionist, working with clients, helping people, and it's great. I love it. And what I love about nutritional therapy is that, and I know this is a huge left turn. Should we all just take a second and reset? Let's take a second. Let's reset. Let's take a breath. Okay, here we go. As a nutritional therapist, I've mentioned this before on the podcast. It is very awesome, this way of approaching nutrition where you're not just eat clean, eat healthy. You're saying, what is the thing I'm trying to do with my body? And then using food to get there, or using nutrition to get there. What am I trying to do? Am I depressed? Am I anxious? Am I am I dealing with inflammation? Do my bones hurt? Am I aging very fast? Do I just have a general bad attitude? Do I got brain fog? Is my gut messed up? Do I have really bad gut problems? Do my armpits stink all the time? Does my breath stink all the time? This is what nutritional therapy does. We use food to start healing that, to start fixing that stuff. And so it's an interesting dynamic to come across people who are trained in the other side of nutrition, the dark side of nutrition, which is more like what I just said before, eat clean, eat healthy, eat the right stuff. And for most people, they don't even know what that means. For most people, they just think just eat a shit ton of salads. For a lot of people now, it's like, oh, I'm going to go vegan or I'll go vegetarian or I'll just start cutting out meat. When really that's for a lot of people the last thing you should be doing. Avoid saturated fat. Why? Because saturated fat has so many great benefits to it. Fat-soluble vitamins, retinol, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2. You shouldn't be just blindly cutting saturated fat. I shouldn't tell you what you should do. I don't like shooting all over people. But at the same time, for a lot of people who want to quote unquote eat healthy, saturated fat needs to be in the mix in some capacity. But then there's, people, nutritionists who are quote unquote registered dietitians. Well, I shouldn't say quote unquote, they are registered dietitians or licensed dietitians who kind of come from this more like old school approach. And I find myself kind of button up against those people, especially when it comes to working with clients, because the people I work with have serious problems. And if I just told them, well, you just need to eat better, or just gave them a meal plan, and without explaining to them what we're actually doing with this, why we're actually doing this, then the whole thing fails. Yeah, some people do well with this kind of like starvation, low calorie, avoiding like greasy foods thing. I think it's much easier. I don't want to say easier, but it's much more doable to be like completely overweight and then to get to a manageable weight. But then when you're in that manageable weight, it doesn't really mean that you're healthy. It doesn't really mean that your problems are doing better. And for a lot of people, weight has nothing to do with your health issues. There's plenty of people who are within an acceptable weight and are just falling apart. Walk around and see the people who are complaining about depression. Most of them are in pretty good shape. Go to vegan YouTube. Watch how many of them are complaining about depression. They look good. A lot of them look good. But man, their health, their mental health is a fucking disaster. Their gut is a mess. Their liver can't detoxify. So it's interesting to butt up against this registered dietitian thing. And then I come across this article talking about how Coca-Cola has revealed their recent. Oh, I shouldn't say recent. This is actually this was actually released a couple years ago, but I'm just coming across it now, and I'm sure nothing has changed. But every year, Coca-Cola has a list of people who they pay. They pay essentially health influencers, people in the health field. Coca-Cola specifically pays them not necessarily to push Coca-Cola, but to not put Coca-Cola and soda and sugary beverages in such a bad light. Like if you come to me and you're like, Eric, I'm out of shape, I'm overweight, I feel like crap, I'm sad, I'm constipated, my stomach hurts, I sleep all the time, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'd be like, let's see your diet. And if I saw you're drinking soda, I'd be like, well, that's the number one thing you got to do. You got to get rid of that soda. You got to get rid of that soda, and you got to drink more water. I'm not going to be like, hey, here's a bill for $1,000 worth of supplements. I'm going to go, man or woman, just cut the Coke. Cut the soda. Cut the soda and replace that with 12 ounces of water. For every soda you drink, replace it with 12 ounces of water. And see how you feel. Let's start there. That's the first place. That's the easiest thing to do. Just cut the soda and see what happens to your life. And I would say for most people, you will see drastic improvements. If you're going from, crippling health problems on soda, and then you cut soda and replace it with more water, you'll see drastic improvements. But then you get this thing of Coca-Cola coming out and saying, well, no, they actually hire health experts to not badmouth soda, to not badmouth Coke, and in some instances to actually promote it. And when you look at these lists, like I'm looking at one right now that's on the Coca-Cola website. You can go to Coca-Cola, coca-colacompany.com/transparency/list of health professionals and scientific experts. I'll just put the link in the little show area. But it's right on Coca-Cola's website. And they're like, look, these are the health experts that we hire. And as you go down this list, man, a lot of RD, a lot of LDN, a lot of RN, a lot of PhD, some MD, some MS. But you know what there's not? There's no NTP. That's right, because nutritional therapists represent. Nutritional therapists throw it up and represent. Because we don't sell out. I don't know why you would educate yourself on nutrition, become a registered dietitian. Many people went to college for that stuff. You studied it. You know what sugar does. You should know what phosphoric acid does. You should know what corn syrup. You should better fucking know what corn syrup does. If you have the nerve to call yourself a nutritionist, you have got to know what corn syrup does. But no, Coca-Cola hires the shit out of those people. They pay out, for Coca-Cola, not a lot of money, a couple $1 million. But these people are seeing a little, and that's the saddest thing. This list is massive. There's at least 50 names on this list. Probably 60 or 70 names on this list. For $2.5 million between all those people, which means all those people, can't really do too much math right now. You're getting a couple grand. A couple grand to sell your soul as a nutritionist. I'm a registered dietitian. No, you're an asshole. You're a registered, authoritative asshole. You're a person who people actually trust. And you promote Coca-Cola. You fucking dick. But then it doesn't end there. Because I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. So I went to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics website and, went over to the partners of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Who are their partners? Well, man, boy, this is a really sad list, man. And I don't know if this is all of it, but these are some of the partners here. Cargill. Well, let's start here. Campbell's Soup Company. You know how the epic of nutrition, the epoch of nutrition, Campbell's Soup representing. Campbell's Soup. Splenda Sweeteners. Ugh. Splenda Sweet. Oh, my God. Artificial sweeteners, dude. Artificial sweeteners. Splenda, which is basically sucralose. Link to things, and this is like per PubMed. This is just me like saying this to make a point, but link to things like irritable bowel disorder, cancer, Alzheimer's, all of the devastating diseases that are just wrecking people's lives, giving you your health problems that you're going into crippling debt to cover. How disgusting is that? Oh, but they sponsor the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Cargill, Cargill products. They're who do they do? They've got a whole bunch of good quality products, right? They do, what do they do? Soy flour, pectin, modified starches, granulated sugar, Eversweet 0-calorie sweetener, which is, that's only linked to like every autoimmune disease. Maltodextrin, corn syrup solids, need we say more? Malt-wise, maize-wise, whole grain, corn products. Oh my God. Oh, here's a fun one. Donut frying shortening. Yeah, those are your registered dietitians. That's their jam. That's who they, that's who they're in the pocket of. They're their sponsors, right? Flakes. These are people, Cargill, they're basically the ones who like make all of like the shit food nice. Right? They're like it's the part of the shit food that's like, come on in. Come on in, young, hungry, fat American. Oh, why would we ever take your donuts away? In fact, we'll give you some donut frying shortening to make those donuts just a little bit better. How about some confectionery and specialty fats? Oh, I talk about fats. Fats are good. Good fats, good saturated animal fats with retinol, vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin K, that play a part in all of the very important functions of, your cellular respiration, in your mitochondria, doing things like running your, helping to control your immune system, your prostaglandin pathways. Oh, but not confectionery and specialty fats. That's absolute fucking garbage. Frying shortenings, Cargill. They are partners. They're partners with the Academy of Dietitians and Nutritionists. Who else is there? We talked about Splenda, did we not? But the premier partner is Abbott Nutrition. Erik, who is Abbott Nutrition? Well, Abbott Nutrition is these guys are the fucking devil, man. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a holistic a-hole. That's how I feel, right? But Abbott Nutrition, just disgusting, dude. Just real gross, man. These people make things like, I'll tell you right now, I just got to bring it up real quick. These people make like baby formulas. So something like L-Care. I didn't know what L-Care was. And it's not just baby formulas. This stuff is for like kids. This stuff, L-Care, is for infants, specifically between 0 and 12 months of age, and it's an amino acid-based powder, infant formula with iron. And I'm going to do an episode very soon, or I really hope to interview an expert on iron, because the more I learn about iron, and I think I talked about this in a previous podcast, but the more I'm convinced that iron might be the canary in the coal mine of what's really going wrong with a lot of health problems. I quoted that study a couple episodes ago, Iron Behaving Badly, where you can really link iron toxicity with a lot of problems of modern, what Weston A. Price would call modern commerce. It might not be the gluten as much as we think. It might be the iron in the bread, okay? But the iron might be the most innocent part of a product like L-Care that comes from Abbott, who is partnered with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, right? So here's here's the formula that makes up L-Care. I'm only going to read the first few because this is a very long list of just amino acids, and it'll take me the whole episode to do it. But here's what you get in this. 55% is of L-Care is made up of corn syrup solids. Good night. Give that to your 0 to 12 month old, and then come to me and tell me that they don't have, I don't know, some autoimmune disease, hyperactivity, ADHD, maybe autism, maybe one of the many diseases, definitely obesity. Jesus Christ. The baby's fucking body is learning how to essentially put itself together. And then you come in with this rat poison, corn syrup solids. Okay, so maybe you're okay with that. How about some high oleic safflower oil? That's pretty brutal. That's 9% of the mix. Soy oil. Oh, what could possibly go wrong with soy oil? I don't know. Fucking everything. The GMO, the pesticides, the whole problem with it. And then there's all these fortified amino acids that are clearly, not natural and just toxic shit. What else is there? Because there's more. There's definitely more of this stuff. You got what else? We talked about the info product, the Pediasure. They make the Pediasure. Here's another one. Grow and Gain Shake. Pediasure Grow and Gain is clinically proven nutrition to help kids grow and is a nutritious supplement for kids falling behind on growth. So Well, hopefully there's some really good quality nutrition in here because they're falling behind on growth. I'm sure it's not because they're being fed a very nutrient dense diet or a nutrient depleted diet. Can't be because of that. So what we'll do is we'll give them a formula that will help them grow. And let's see what's in this formula. It's got to be good stuff, right? Water? Yeah, that's great. Water's good. Depends where the water comes from, by the way, because there's some really bad water. Just a little aside, I got my Berkey filter down here in PR, and living in New York, I had to clean that thing. I mean, I didn't clean it, but I really needed to, like once a month. And when I did, I mean, I was wiping sludge off this shit. I bring it down to PR, the thing works like a dream. The thing works like it's actually supposed to work. In New York, it would only drop about halfway because it would be so sludged up because of all of the stuff in New York City water that they tell you that's the best water in the country. I'm sorry if you're drinking New York City tap water, your insides are literally rotting. So water depends where it comes from, but okay, water's fine. Corn, maltodextrin, sugar. I mean, it's not that bad, right? Blend of vegetable oils, canola and corn. Could you just, oh, come on, man. Come on, dude. Come on. Milk product concentrate, soy protein isolate, non-fat milk. Of course, you don't want the kid to have fat. Replace it with the canola and corn oil. Natural and artificial flavor, cellulose gel, potassium chloride, magnesium phosphate. That stuff's okay. But this is an Abbott Nutrition. This is what they sell. And they're the premier partner of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So every time someone tells you they're a registered dietitian, just remember, this is the world. This is the world they live in. This is where that's coming from. This is how fucking ass backwards the nutrition conversation and education is in this country. I don't know if it's like this everywhere else. I can't speak for that. But thank God I chose the right path. I chose the good light, the not the dark side. I don't have to live in this world of having my license be tainted with this just garbage that somebody like Coca-Cola or Abbott or Cargill or Splenda or one of these other just corporate monsters got their hands on me. And I know there's good nutrition. I know there's good dietitians out there. I know there are. I'm not saying if you're a dietitian you're a bad person. I'm saying that when somebody throws their weight around and says they're a nutritionist, they're a registered dietitian, in my opinion, that doesn't really mean much. Because I don't know what your education is. I don't know really what the certification of being a dietitian even proves, knowing what I know about this, and now knowing what you a-holes know about this. So if you do work with a nutritionist, whoever it is, if they tell you you're a dietitian, really press them. Really tell them what you got going on, and make sure they don't just throw a blanket thing of like, oh, you need to eat better. Well, what do you need to eat? Prunes, prune juice that comes from Sunsweet, because Sunsweet again is another partner of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. There's nutritionists out there that are writing articles about about Coca-Cola, and like for instance, let me tell you this guy. Oh, what is this dude's name? He's a cook on the Food Channel. Chef Virginia Willis. Is that his name? He's the delicious cook, and he's on Coca-Cola's payroll. He's got a thing called he's the delicious cook. He's all about Coca-Cola. Oh, no, Ronnie Wu. That's what we're talking about. Martha Stewart's magazine, getting paid by Coca-Cola. Morning TV segments. This lady, Sylvia Klinger, goes on there, says drinking a mini Coke is fine as long as you're drinking mini Cokes. I mean, there's just people out there who are just telling people this shit's okay. And then when it comes to like something like the soda tax, they're trying to bring to the attention that we shouldn't have the soda tax. That's not fair to the companies. There's working families being affected. They're just filling your mouth with hot fucking corrupt rat poison jizz. That's what they're doing here. So if you're going to work with a nutritionist, go with a nutritional therapist. That's all I'm going to say. So I know this one was a little all over the place, much like most podcasts I do, but I enjoy bringing them to you. I enjoy getting heated about stuff like this. You know, I got to talk about two things I'm very passionate about today, which is my white privilege and my objection to corruption in nutritional sciences. So look, a-holes, this is why you're an a-hole. Right? I think I've laid out a pretty compelling case as to why it makes sense. You need to be such a discerning, such a, what is the word I'm looking for? Such a judgmental, fucking holistic a-hole. Because people are trying to fuck you. People are trying to hurt you. People are trying to convince you that it's okay to, have your baby drink fucking corn syrup when their organs are just developing. The number one thing that blocks the chemical reactions need to happen in your body is corn syrup. The number one thing that puts fat on your bones is corn syrup. The number one thing that clogs up your liver, fucks up your kidneys, and wrecks your pancreas, corn syrup. And then the big companies that deliver the corn syrup to you, whether you're an adult, a child, or a baby, they've got their hands in the goddamn nutritionist pockets. And it's just maddening, man. It's maddening. We want free healthcare. Well, how about we fix the fact that, these disgusting corporations like Coca-Cola are trying to influence the conversation. Not to mention, Coca-Cola is working with the CDC. There's email exchanges between Coca-Cola and the CDC, according to this article published in the British Medical Journal. Coca-Cola and obesity. Is the BMJ the British Medical Journal? I think it is, right? The BMJ, Coca-Cola and obesity. Study shows efforts to influence U.S. Centers for Disease Control. This was published here in 2019. Basically, email exchanges between Coca-Cola and people in the CDC trying to get the CDC to work with Coca-Cola to make it so the CDC doesn't badmouth Coca-Cola. CDC, government enterprise. We need more government, Elizabeth Warren, don't we? Don't we? We need government to come in and help us because goddamn, they're the most trustworthy, honorable people we got. Ugh. I'm done here, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the podcast, please remember to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, go on to iTunes, leave a 5-star review, share this with your family. Oh, and take the information I'm telling you and go tell all your friends. Go brag about it. You can take credit for it. I don't care. Or you can turn them on to my podcast because I got this shit coming out every single week. You know how I do it. I can't wait soon, too. I'm going to have a lot of videos coming out. As soon as I get my life sorted out, I'm going to get back on the YouTubes, put a lot more Instagram stuff out there. A lot of really fun stuff. I got some really cool people I'm about to interview on the podcast, so I'm doing it for you guys. I'm not making any money off this, but it's the passion. It's the fire. I hope you guys find it in you, too, and you drive people around you crazy with how much of a holistic a-hole you are. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all Holistic A-Hole. If you want to join the group, join Bro Health or the Holistic A-Holes Facebook groups. One of the two of those, that's where I'm at. If you love what I'm doing, you can reach out, say what's up, Erik, or just screenshot the podcast, play on your phone, put it up on your Instagram, tag me at Holistic A-Hole. Again, I couldn't do this without your guys' support. You guys have been so great. I'm so grateful for all of you listening. Thank you for putting me in your ears. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.